and I'm watching the rise. And I wouldn't say I'm shocked, cause I'm hardly surprised. This one's for the ride, this one's for who knew I'd make it, just needed some time. This one's for my wife, could've left 1,000 times just about my side. This one's for the grind, I knew it would happen.
Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Randy Kaye, and I'm the host of the Caught Up podcast. Today we have Kiley Eskridge from Grind Time Sports. Kiley is a former collegiate and semi-pro athlete. She is also a private softball instructor. Coach, it's always great to see you. Thanks for taking the time to catch up.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are things on your end?
They're great. Just moving, very busy, keeping busy, always on the softball field or in a batting cage, so very good.
Right, living the life.
Yeah.
Tell me about the type of instruction that you give. Obviously softball instruction, but is it position specific? Do you do all phases? Give me a little background. Give the audience a little background on what you do.
Yeah, so I give, honestly, right now, all types of different lessons to all ages, all skill levels from my youngest client is 4, my oldest client is 22. I started originally with just hitting lessons, and then it turned to hitting and pitching because I did pitch a little bit in college, grew up pitching as well. And then it went to position-specific stuff. And then as I started coaching more teams, I kind of got more requests just for other positions. And then also I kind of turned some things into cognitive training, mental toughness training, and have added that factor in as well.
Explain that to the audience, cognitive training. What is that?
Yeah, so just essentially training the brain. The big thing that I've noticed just for all athletes in general, but softball players more specifically is we spend so much time on really putting focus and emphasis on skills and form, but we kind of neglect some of the reaction and response that these girls have to know. I say a lot of the times, this is a very gray game. It's not black and white. So we have to be able to react and respond appropriately. So we'll do stuff regarding Stroop tests. I'll do tennis ball drills. I'll do number games. I'll do colored cone games. Just things along those lines that just get your brain probably a little bit more tired than your body.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. You hear it all the time that it's 90% mental. And I've heard, from some people that train other types of professional athletes that same thing, we focus so much on, the technique and the physical part that we a lot of times neglect the mental piece. Do you have some background in that, or is that something that you've picked up as far as training yourself? Because I look at your Instagram and I see all your videos, and to me, it looks like, I'm no authority on hitting or fielding or anything by any means, but all the things that I see you do make sense. And it seems like either you were taught right or you've educated yourself or a little bit of both. Can you kind of share that with me?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. I study this game daily. I'm watching videos. I'm reading the newest things online. I lay in my bed every morning and scroll through Instagram, and as well as, I'll look up something and try to understand, the new concept of spine tilt or launch angle, which I wasn't really taught when I played. So just understanding the growing aspect of that game. So I'll study that. When it comes to the cognitive side, I am certified in mental toughness training. However, they don't really touch on the cognitive training. I connected with a really good friend of mine who's also a coach who puts a lot of emphasis on the cognitive aspect. And he and I have just challenged each other and have just come up with new things that make our brain tired and have implemented it with our athletes.
Wow.
Yeah.
What does that mean, mental toughness training? Is that a course? Is that just something? Okay.
So it's through ISSA, similar to NASM, very short 4-week course. Essentially just talked about being mentally tough. So understanding that all athletes, all people go through really tough times, and just finding different ways to cope. They use a lot of examples of professional athletes, and sports psychologists, and just kind of that side of it. So it was a super easy course. Just talks about staying mentally tough, staying mentally locked in, blocking out the loud noises around you.
Right. Oh, that's good stuff.
Yeah, really interesting.
Yeah, I really like that. I mean, again, we're on the field. We as coaches, On my end, we're focused on making sure we get everybody to the right field, making sure that we have a somewhat of a plan and give them the reps. But that mental piece is you hear more and more about it every day. And I'm like you, like obviously I'm on social media a bunch. I look at a lot of different things. Tell me, tell me how when you see somebody doing a drill, because you always hear this, oh, well, that person learned that on YouTube, or that's a
Sure.
YouTube coach. And I think that there's some value in that. But to me, it's also, do you actually understand what you're doing and what you're teaching and the reason for that drill or the reason for that particular, video that you're watching? Can you give me some insight on that when you're laying there and you're watching? Is that kind of what because you do see what they're doing and you try to take pieces from that, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not going to have an athlete do a drill if it doesn't make sense. I think there's some cool drills out there that I can understand and kind of grasp the idea. I'll always try to do the drill as well. So before the lesson, I'll get there and if I'm like, hey, this seems kind of new, I'll try it out. And if I can do it, I will have my athletes do it. I'm not going to have them do something I can't do or something I wouldn't do or something I haven't done. So yeah, it absolutely has to make sense. I'm not just going to throw a random thing out there. I'm really big on the feel. I think it's really important for the athletes and for female athletes, especially, to be able to feel the active adjustments. So there are some crazy YouTube coaches and YouTube drills out there that do put good emphasis on the feel of progressing their swing path.
Gotcha. And when you talk about drills, do you have a favorite drill? Is there some things that you like, your core things that you do all the time, or does it just vary?
I would say with my higher level athletes, we probably do relatively similar things. We do a lot of single arm isolation drills. We'll do a lot of extension drills. I'll do a lot of power drills. With the younger ones, we get pretty creative. I would say with each skill level, I probably do have a core. But it's also dependent on the athlete because I don't believe it's a one-size-fit-all solution to every athlete.
Right. When you talk about single arm isolation drills, are you isolating obviously just the one arm?
Correct.
What else are you isolating? Like the lower half or?
Yeah. So sometimes we'll just do like top hand and I'll have them on a knee. Sometimes I'll have them in a wide stance and I'll have them do top hand, bottom hand. Sometimes we incorporate the bottom half. Sometimes we don't. Again, just dependent on what we're working on with that athlete.
Yeah. One of the things that I try to do a bunch is getting an athlete to feel being able to go from their toe touch or their ready position, because to me, a lot of times it feels like they want to wind back up, but they don't realize that if everything is in the ground and you're already starting to turn, you've already created a little stretch, and that turn to the ball can be really, really efficient. And sometimes I feel like they have to get really deep or, sway backwards to go forward. What are your thoughts on that as far as hitting from that? Well, I guess you said you get them in a wide stance. So, it sounds like the same thing. Am I off there or?
No, similar. So yeah, I call it the launch position. Yep. So get their hands back, front leg planted, create resistance, drive backside. I do tons of that with either single arm isolation, both hands. I think it's important for them to understand how to drive their hips through the ball, how to lead with their hips. A note that I say a lot of the times is drive your back butt cheek through that ball. And
back it through the ball.
Yeah, that one seems to make a lot of sense. Then they kind of stop that reload. But yeah, absolutely. I do see a lot of girls, they get to that launch position, they hold it, and they want to stretch it out just a little bit more. Trying to get rid of that overextension of launch position, essentially.
Right. When you talk about getting that back hip to the ball, I remember a few years back, I had a couple kids from college come back, and they just asked if they could use my cage. I mean, they weren't looking for a lesson or anything from me. Sometimes I'll throw them balls, but anyway, so they swung by, and I watched them take balls off my pitching machine, and literally the first 5 were, getting ready, hands back, get a little low, go to your launch position, and then like just get that back hip fired, almost like they were hitting the ball with their back hip. Never swung the bat for I don't know, 4 or 5 pitches.
Yeah.
And to me, obviously that there was some sort of timing drill or, just trying to get loose. But yeah, no, all good stuff. Talk about launch angle. You mentioned launch angle. What does that mean to you? And, is that something that you've bought into or you see some value in?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I wasn't, we didn't grow up learning launch angle, and have been successful. So I think it's a cool concept. I think it's mimicking very much a baseball ideology, perhaps. I think it is beneficial for the power hitters for sure. If you can get a launch angle of, I believe it was 27 degrees, I think is the good launch angle, and you hit the ball at 65 miles an hour, it's almost a sure home run given the right circumstances of the weather.
Right.
Like if you could do that consistent, why not? But is it realistic? No. Is it something you could do every single time? No. However, I think understanding where to contact that ball, creating backspin, and hitting the ball hard, those are probably more my focuses. Now I am learning more about this launch angle. I do think it could be beneficial, but I also try to stay away from the whole elevate, celebrate concept. And I really pound into the athletes that home runs truly are accidents, and you just want to cause chaos. You want to hit the ball hard, and the big hits will happen.
Right. I've had some kids, I mean, you see them all the time that they may try to get on plane to try to get that lift. But to me, they forget to transfer their weight. And so they get on plane as they're going forward. And so they land what I've learned to be reverse posture. And
Sure.
so that's the biggest thing for me. But I'm with you. Like, if you can do it, great. All power, more power to you. But, the biggest thing for me is when I see those kids in moments when you need chaos or you need the ball put in play, it's the same swing. It's that same third cut. And I think sometimes they focus too much on that and they don't practice the other because, as well as I do, timely hits are everything, and runners in scoring position. Great. It'd be awesome if you hit the ball over the fence, but sometimes we just need a hit, a ground ball through the middle of the field,
Right.
that just is hard enough just to get by everybody. So, no, I love that. I know that you have a degree in kinesiology. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
Tell me how that helps you train some of your athletes.
Yeah. So, actually, my associate's is in kinesiology. I definitely use it often. Understanding the movement of the body. I also have, so then my bachelor's is in nutrition, and then my master's is in PE. So, I really truly use all 3 of those degrees probably daily. I think the kinesiology side of it has helped me understand how the body can move, how we can use muscle isolation, the importance of the core, the importance of short movements. I think that's really helped. And then truthfully, the physical education side I think was really important because that's where I really learned to watch the progress and not the result. And it probably leveled up my coaching. I wasn't so big on watching where the ball's going on the field, but more so watching just the movement of the body. So putting those 2 degrees together has helped.
That's awesome. That's a great point. What about like explosive moves? Is that also in that same category? Is that going to
Yeah. So, just explosiveness, I've learned a lot with all of my training and with the degrees as well. My big explosive move, drill that I work on is going to incorporate medicine balls. I use a lot of medicine balls, as well as, we'll do like controlled, essentially isometrics, and then like a jump associated with it. But my go-to, the easy one, the athletes like it, is the medicine ball stuff.
Okay. And then that's just like tossing it into a wall or tossing it to each other. Is that something similar?
Yeah. So they'll do medicine ball slams to the ground, maybe chest slams to the ground. I'll do stuff where they're in the hitting position and they'll hold in their launch position with the medicine ball and then almost shot put it and then one where they hold it by their hip and it's more of a core rotation from the hitter's position as well.
Nice.
Yeah,
like
those are
that.
fun.
What about when you talk about understanding how the body moves, are you able to see any like mobility issues? Is that something that you're able to identify?
Oh yeah, I get kids that don't know how to hinge at the waist. That's probably the big one. I'll tell them to bend over and touch their toes, and they just kind of roll their back over.
Yeah.
The
That's so
hinging,
funny.
athletes with tight hips, tight hamstrings, maybe seems as though their hips are maybe rotated more in. Athletes with weak ankles, athletes with weak shoulders, and essentially it's those athletes that are hitting that growth spurt. Maybe the preteen, the early teens, they get long and their muscles just get too long and too lanky with them that they can't hold their shoulders in place. Their shoulder blades get weak, all those things. So yeah, I can see it now. I'm not a doctor, so I can't diagnose anything, and I can't give my full advice on it. But yeah, I can see how I do see those how it affects the movements often, and we have to then kind of take a step back.
Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with On Base U.
Yeah.
I took that hitting course, learned a whole bunch. And there's also a mobility, I think it's like a 21 point, and I may be way off, but I'm pretty sure it's close to that. But there's a test that they've designed that you can do at the field.
Okay.
Like anything that you have at your field. I mean, it's as simple as putting a bat down between your feet and then putting your hands on your hips and then trying to touch your toe to that bat that's in between your feet. And it'll tell you if you have mobility in your hips or if you're lacking mobility. Yeah, it's really good. And I've been trying to, I have a couple parents. I have one in particular that, you know, and I've known this, but I really just started putting it together the last couple years. But, and I'm going to knock on wood when I say this, but her kids never get hurt.
Yeah.
But I know that she's also very proactive in doing preventative stretching and preventative, strengthening. So she's actually offered to take that test and do it on all of our athletes and give us her feedback because she is a PT.
That's awesome.
So that's something that like I've just got to get around to doing. Like stop, messing with social media and get off of, doing podcasts. Maybe I don't have time to do it. But.
Right.
So no, that's all good stuff. Really like your insight on that. What is
Thanks.
When you're training some of these younger kids, what is, in your opinion, what is the most common, I don't want to call it a flaw, but maybe deficiency that these young kids have? And I'm talking like, 8, 10 years old, because I think as well as I do, just talking about like athletic ability and where that motor skill comes from. What is something that you see or maybe that motor skill that has maybe been programmed, inefficiently?
Yeah, I think we're such a result-oriented community or society nowadays. So a lot of these athletes or young kids that come to me, they just want to hit the ball hard. They want the instant result, and they're lacking very, very much a base of fundamentals.
Can you give me one fundamental?
Yeah, just to go from the beginning is just being in the right position to start a swing or to field a ball.
Yep.
That's the most basic. Throwing a ball. They don't know how to throw a ball. They're just not being taught correctly. And I don't think it's a lack of an ability. I mean, you see young kids, a 7, 8, 9-year-old, and they have it. They're like, that's a really talented kid. Maybe they did basketball or soccer and t-ball growing up, and they're just very active and they're moving. But regardless of a skill level, I just think there's just such a lack of just the basic catching a ball correctly, getting body behind the ball, throwing correctly, basic footwork, just little things like that.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. And on, The on base class that I took, the one thing that they talked a lot about, and the people that I talked to, because I talk to everybody about hitting. I mean, I pick everyone's brain, but you're right. The basic fundamentals of just getting ready, so
Yeah.
that you can go or swing or launch when you feel you need to, without losing any sequencing, right?
Correct.
Being able to take power from the ground all the way up to the barrel,
Right.
without losing, with losing as little as possible.
Yeah.
So, no, I love that. I love that. What about in the older kids that you get? So I'm obviously assuming that you don't have kids from 8U all the way through 14U always. You're going to get a kid that's going to drop in, because you want to share with the audience where you do your lessons.
Yeah, sure. So I give all my lessons out of DBAT Mesa, Stapley in the 60, really great facility. I'm there 35 to 40 hours a week.
Cool.
Yeah.
When you have people drop into DBAT and book a lesson or a class with you at 14 years old, and what are the things there at that point? Is it the same? You just see that they're lacking in those basic fundamentals as well?
Yeah, typically, I'll get some girls that play club ball and are on relatively known good club ball teams, travel ball teams, and they come to me and they're like, I'm in a slump, I'm not hitting, I'm not doing well, and yeah, I watch their starting position and I tell them, I'm like, well, you're not stable, you're on your heels, you're not hinging correctly, you're very quad loaded, you're unbalanced, and that's pretty much the basics. And then everything else just kind of falls into place because they do have that skill and they do have that knowledge that they've been taught. And
right.
Yeah, I mean, just that stability. The other thing I notice a lot too is casting. They cast a lot. So those are probably the two of the older athlete flaws that come in that I adjust.
Yeah, and this as an instructor, we're all guilty of this. I mean, we all feel it, that you have an hour or 45 minutes, whatever it is that you do, and you at some point you want to make sure that they feel like there was some value.
Sure.
But at the same time, I'm pretty sure you do a good job of telling them up front, like, we have to change these little things, and we're going to do all these boring things that don't, may not seem important. But if you don't do these things right and we don't fix this, then the rest of it's just, you might run into some things and you might make some things happen. Or like we always talk about, a pitcher might throw the ball into your bat.
Yeah.
And you're going to hit it hard because like you said, you do have good hand-eye coordination. You are aware of the game and you have, all those fundamentals. But to be consistent at a high level and to try to go play college ball and I don't care what level, like, it don't matter. Like, everyone can play once you get out of high school.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, I think we all try to do a better job of that. But sometimes you just want to, you just need to make them have some success so that not so they come back, but just so you feel that they got something out of it in their mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, what you said at the beginning, hey, this is going to be boring. We have to make sure we do this. That's literally the words I say to these kids. And as we're doing these repetitive movements, and I sound probably like a broken record, I remind them of that. But yeah, absolutely. At the end, as long as they're consistent within that 45 minutes to 50 minutes, I like to throw them front toss and make them feel good.
Sure.
And some get it right away, and it is a feel good thing. And truthfully, sometimes not so humble of myself, I sit here and I'm like, man, I feel like a magician today.
Yeah.
And other days I sit here and I'm like, man, I don't know. This is tough. But it's very repetitive. It's very important to make sure that your starting position, your load, each step is just fundamentally sound. So like you said, you are consistent because that's what makes a good hitter, is just being consistent.
Right. So let's talk about why you coach. I mean, obviously you played the game. I looked you up a little bit. Where are you from?
Yeah, so I'm from Orange County, California.
Okay.
Grew up in Garden Grove, about 5 minutes from Anaheim. Lived in Huntington Beach, lived in Seal Beach. So Orange County area. Yeah.
Nice. That's That's what I thought. That's what I found.
Yeah.
So, but why do you coach?
Yeah. So, I mean, I love it. My second year in junior college, I really screwed up in school after my freshman year. Just wanted to be a softball player, didn't go to classes, and found myself with a 0.53 GPA. So I had to academically redshirt my second year and helped out the team from behind the scenes. And I would say it was that year when I was like really falling in love more so with the game. Still loved it as a player, still wanted to do stuff, but really loved the behind the scenes and the energy and the focus that it takes to help these athletes get better. So I think that was a turning point for me. And then, as I'm in college and I'm in my nutrition program, I'm in my athletic training stuff, I'm in my PE program, I'm doing all these other things, and it didn't spark any sort of constant motivation or this drive that, I was just doing it to do it, it felt like. So anytime I was coaching softball, everyone in my family and around me looked at it as though, this is just a hobby. It's nothing you can make a realistic living off of. And that was kind of ingrained in my brain, but I wanted to make it happen, and I wanted to change that idea and saw the success that could happen with this. And then as I just continued to grow and learning the impact that not only that I can make on these kids, but that these kids and these families had on me, it was just something that even today, I just continuously love that, and watching these kids grow and watching the light bulbs go on. And I think that keeps me around. I think the game is such a beautiful game. Biasly one of the best out there. Of course, you learn so much within the game. You learn so much about life. You learn so much about being a better person that it's just something that I can't really put it into a one reason. There's just so much of it that just genuinely keeps my heart going and keeps my soul going. And I think I was put on this earth to coach softball and teach life lessons through softball.
And so you do you do this full time?
I do. Yeah. So I've been really blessed to be able to just do lessons full time. I mentioned earlier, 35 to 40 hours a week of private lessons, which is great. And then I coach now with the 14U Rogue team. I used to coach at a high school. I used to help out with some colleges. I've done clinics for all kinds of different teams. But yeah, so I've made this a full-time job.
Good for you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I was on with somebody recently, and his name's Dave King, and he said that we're entering a time now to where the travel ball and the club coaches, and I would probably, I don't know if you would categorize yourself as, a club coach. You're more of a professional trainer, but at the end of the day, we're all kind of in that same area. He says we're entering a time where that we're going to start to see the professional coach.
Yes.
And that the professional coach, when they decide to dedicate themselves to it, they're just going to make the game even better.
Yeah, that's great.
So I think that's awesome, and it sounds like you're headed down that road. I know you also you had your own org. Tell me about Grind Time, how that went. I know I don't know how long you did it, to be honest with you, but I remember seeing you. And then tell me about that journey and what you learned from that, because we learn stuff from everything, right?
Sure.
What did you learn from that whole situation? And tell me about that.
Yeah. So it was tough. It was really tough. It grew really fast. I was presented with
How many teams did you have?
Yeah. So at one point we had 9 teams, which was nuts.
Wow.
Really fast. I originally started it. I had an opportunity to coach an 18U team under a different organization, and ended up leaving a different organization because of it. And after I had left this organization, this guy who wanted me to go coach for him and start a softball side on his baseball side basically pulled everything back. And I kind of was like, well, I have Grind Time Softball as my training name, so why not just do a Grind Time Softball team, right?
Yeah.
And then I had other coaches come to me wanting to leave where they were at, bring teams over, was really believing in what I was doing. So they started a 14U team. So we had an 18U, a 14U, and then we had a 12U. Then we had a 10U. Then we had a 16U. We had another 14U. We had some baseball teams. We had a football team, which was nuts. So, I mean, it took off within a year. I did it for about 2.5 years, and then some personal things in my life started happening, and I just disbanded it all, took a step back, decided to hyper focus on lessons and go from there. But lessons learned, I'm a coach. I'm not a businesswoman, that's for sure. That was hard.
A hard piece to that.
Yeah.
You have to, it's something that's not, it's like any business, right? You might be a good baker and you go, well, shoot, I can make all these better than whomever, and they buy them here and I can make this much money. But what people don't realize is there's so much stuff that goes on behind the scenes,
right,
in order to run that business. Interesting. What, so, I mean, it's harder than people realize.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough.
There's a lot. The phone's never off.
Never.
You're always dealing with some sort of situation. But hats off to you for giving it a go. Do you find that being a private instructor, do you find it hard? Did you find it hard to train kids because of your affiliation with one particular organization, or like,
yes and no,
get in the way?
I don't know for sure. I had kids from all over, many different organizations, still seeing me, kids that I've known, now some of them are seniors at Basha and Perry and schools all around that I've known since they were 6th and 7th graders. So, not really, the people that want you will find you and will come to you.
Right.
And I will say that now that I've had more time, and I don't know if it's an affiliation with the team, now that I've had more time, I've had a lot more lessons and a lot more people. But I don't know. I think maybe some coaches will harp on that and don't want their kids going to other instructors by any means. However, I think if the kid's learning and the kid's growing and they're getting what they need out of it, I think, go see whoever. And I don't think it needs to be a team affiliated thing.
Right. And I meant more so when you ran your own,
sure,
being the head of something, if that was had any impact. But I think it also goes to, like, if you're professional about it, and I look at it like this, if, I coach in high school and I don't let those lines blur. I don't let those lines get blurred or muddied.
Sure.
You play here, I'm good with that. Like, I try not to be, use my position in a high school setting to impact a player because either I don't like where they play or I don't like the fact that I want them to come play for me and they won't. I'll be honest, and I hope somebody calls me out on this, but I don't think I've ever really said, been in a situation where I'm like, hey, come play for me or else, whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
I know for sure I've never said that, but I mean, I try to really keep those separate. And as a hitting instructor, I mean, you do your job to help the kid no matter where she plays. And if you keep that professional, in my opinion, I personally couldn't care less where you hit.
Sure.
As long as you're working on the right stuff and you're getting better. And then the other thing too, as long as those instructors understand that they need to stay in their lane, like, do your job. Don't get involved or offer, your, biased opinion towards anything, because I trust me, I get it all the time. And I try to, I just say, hey man, you deal with that. Like, that's your thing. I'm going to help you with this.
Sure.
And so I see that stuff a lot, but
yeah, I do too.
So, but hey, we're all just trying to be better for it. And
yep.
I didn't mean to go on that rant.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on, because I've heard people say this online, you have to be, you have to have played this game to be a good coach, or, they try to position themselves as, hey, I play this game, so I'm a great coach. I didn't play college softball, so
sure.
Curious your thoughts.
Yeah. I think it can go back and forth. I think having the knowledge from from the athlete's perspective in the game of softball does have its benefits.
For sure.
However, I know some really great players that are not good coaches. And then I know some incredible like guys out there that started this maybe for their daughters and really learned the game and have become incredible coaches. Some that I've watched and I also take things from. So I mean, I think it can go back and forth. Now the one thing that I think there is a benefit of is being a female athlete, going through those hardships as a female athlete versus maybe somebody who was a male athlete in college. It is very different. So I think we do have that side that we're able to relate to, and then just the hardships of just being and I don't want to say inequality, but it is a little bit of inequality in college sports still, and in youth sports as well on the female side. So I think having those understandings is a benefit. However, I know some incredible athletes that just aren't good coaches.
Yeah. Well, and I didn't want that to be a negative or sound negative when I asked it, but
Sure.
One of the things that I mean, we love having female coaches. I've coached with some female coaches, most notably recently, Lauren Register or Lauren Rosales now over at Hamilton. She coached with us for like 4 or 5 years. And it's amazing to have that insight and that perspective with us as far as, and I'm talking directly with my team. But like, it seems like we always try to get, the former player to come do this. And it just seems like it's been so hard for them to stick.
Yeah.
I mean, and what do you think that is? Is that just a life thing? Like they're just, or is it they didn't realize the amount of headache or stress that comes along with this? Or, what are your thoughts on that? And how do we get those female athletes to get more involved and help the game at this level?
Yeah, that's a great question. I ponder all those concepts often. I think it is a mix of not ready to fully hang those cleats up yet and not step away from the game, because that's hard. I mean, when you're all is softball from rec ball to travel ball to college ball, and that's your daily life. But the day you're done, you kind of are just in this like, okay, what's next? Cool, I'll coach, and then real life sets in, like, hey, this is actually a lot of time. This is a headache. And you approach these athletes from a collegiate mindset, and you don't understand why they're not working hard. You don't understand why they're not putting in every practice every day, because we know what it takes to get to that level, and you don't understand why it's not happening. And then you get the side of the parents, which is a whole different headache. And I think as college athletes that move into that coaching role, it's new territory. So. Some love it and some stick and some don't, but I want to know how to get more as well, because I think it's a beautiful thing to see more female softball players leading female softball players in the sport. Yeah.
We can tell them till we're blue in the face about what it's going to take or what it's going to be like. And then and I just wish we could get a little more of that. We'll keep trying. I mean, obviously, we're not going anywhere, hopefully, anytime soon. And I think we're just going to continue to try to put it out there. So any coaches out there, any ex-athletes, or feel free to reach out, because we're always looking.
Yes, absolutely.
Is there anything that you wish you could change in this sport?
In Arizona, or just in the sport in general?
Yeah, let's start Arizona. What can we do? And actually, that's a really good point. Let's talk about what could we change in just the club level, high school level, or pre-high school level. What could we change here in Arizona?
Yeah, so I mean, I grew up playing softball in California. A little bit of a different structure in California than it is in Arizona.
How so?
So the practice schedules in California are typically Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And if there's a tournament, they practice Friday, they play in the tournament Saturday, Sunday. If there's no tournament, they'll practice Friday night, they'll practice all day Saturday. And then they typically do a 3-game round robin scrimmage type thing on Sundays. I think that gives benefit for a few reasons. One, it allows kids from out of the area to travel. they know Friday after school, they're going down here. They're going to said location. It allows them to be students and potentially participate in other sports throughout Monday through Thursday. It allows them to get their homework done, their schoolwork done. It allows them to do their private lessons. And you're not limited to a specific area. What I hear out here is, this team practices Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 6 to 9, and we're coming straight from school and we don't want to drive far because it's just so much throughout the week. And it is. And I think if we changed maybe that structure, we would have more committed athletes. Teams would grow together rather than bounce around every weekend, and perhaps just be a little bit more well-rounded. I don't see as much as that out here, I think.
I love that. We try to just go on Wednesdays because we do have kids that drive, from as far as Tucson or Prescott or, Payson, wherever. And so we try to just go on Wednesdays, but I love that. And the other thing too is the friendly or the live game action that every Sunday, to me, is something that we don't do enough. And to me, the problem is and it's one of the things that I would like to change is the fact that we don't work together more. I mean,
Right.
Look, we all have our own groups and our own tribes, and this tribe wants to be better than that tribe competitively. I get all that, but it's not like there's 50 teams out here where we can go play and get better. So I think that, trying to do something a little more together or, to help each other in that regard. But I like that thought process. And to your point, the private instruction part, and that's one thing I tried to do years ago is, a Wednesday night or a Monday night fielding clinic. But one of the things I always look at is you ask kids to drive an hour and sometimes now an hour 20 to come down to a infield hour and a half workout. It'd be nice to have that hitting workout, but it just feels like then it just turns into a practice. So
yeah, right.
I don't know. I like that thought process though. So is there anything else you'd love to change about Arizona?
Just seeing a little bit more commitment perhaps too, and working through those just hardships in the game. And when something doesn't go your way, quit running, just work through it. And I promise you're going to get more out of that lesson than you will, what we call team hopping.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of that. Yeah.
What about on a national level? Is there anything you'd like to see change?
I've loved watching the growth. It's been beautiful. I off the top of my head, I don't know if I would change anything. I want more people to love softball as much as we do. I want to see it grow more. It is growing. I think, Lauren Chamberlain's doing incredible things for the game. She's really putting it back on the maps, I think, at a different level. Patty Gasso, obviously dominating the game over here. So making it exciting, Jocelyn Allo, part of the Patty Gasso and the Lauren Chamberlain stuff. So yeah, I think more of that. I think it's just growing and it's encouraging more athletes to play, and these athletes are getting better. And I think I've seen, at least on my end, I've seen really good growth within coaches, private coaches, and the communication and the support nationwide amongst the coaches, communicating with each other, opening up their facilities when kids are traveling. So I've seen a lot of unity, which I think is helping as well. So I don't know if I'd change anything, but I'm just really happy to see the growth.
So you like the trajectory that it's on?
I do.
Yeah, and it's a super popular sport right now, and I think it was brought to my attention that it's the third highest rated show on ESPN right now.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so that's something really impressive. What about national events and recruiting? What are your thoughts on some of that stuff? As far as did you spend a lot of time in the recruiting process with your teams, or what your process when you were coming through? Is there anything there that you'd like to share?
I think I think, truthfully, I think half of it's kind of a gimmick with some of these national things in recruiting, and I think the other half is legit. There's
Can you
some
share
really,
it? Can you give
yeah,
me an idea? Yep. Give me an example.
yeah. Like, I go to PGF and work there every year, and I think that's a really good opportunity for these athletes to play in front of really incredible coaches and get them on their radar. I mean,
What do you do there? When you work there?
yeah, so I was actually selling a training tool. It's called Follow Through Bat, endorsed by Mike Condrea. A really good just power training tool in creating whip and strength and stuff. So I've been there last few years selling those bats. But
Nice.
the cool part of that is I get to just connect with a bunch of coaches and athletes, and that's been the best part.
Nice.
Yeah, so I think that's a great tournament to get in front of really good coaches, especially when you're in the premium division of it.
Yep.
Our premiere, sorry. I think truthfully camps are some of the best ways to go. College camps, when you're invited to college camps, go. I mean, you're on their radar. You have that one-on-one connection time with them. I think those are some of the best opportunities for these athletes that want to play is go to these camps. And a lot of the times are like, no, it's a waste of money. It's a waste of money. And some are, don't get me wrong, but it is a fundraiser as well for these schools. And I mean, we have to make that known, but it's also a really, really good opportunity for some of these athletes as well.
Yeah. I mean, college coaches are no different than us or anybody else is trying to make a living. So, maybe the head coach doesn't need it as much, but everyone involved, I mean, should be paid for their time. I mean, this is I've often heard it said this is a scholarship driven business, and we are, the kids are for the most part trying to improve their skill set so they can earn a college scholarship. I agree with you. Get to those camps. What about, and I've been asking everybody this because I'm just curious, all-star games, all-star lists, player rankings. What are your thoughts on that stuff?
Yeah, it's still kind of a newer concept for me to comprehend fully. I think the thought process is cool, but some of these big names that are playing at OU and at Texas and Florida never were ranked, never played an all-star game. So is it a make or break? I don't believe so.
Right.
I think it's a cool, be recognized for your hard work, and I think pat on the back, and that's amazing, and keep working hard. But I don't think it makes a difference, from my opinion, in these recruiting processes. Right.
I asked a coach if they look at him, and he goes, "Yeah, because none of our players are ever on him."
Yeah.
So,
right.
Like, we're not getting those kids. What is your best sports memory? Any memory could be you playing, favorite team, anything.
Yeah.
You have one?
Yeah, there's so many. Just being with a team. I think college softball. There's club softball is great. Having that team camaraderie is great, but there's nothing better than playing collegiate softball and playing for the name on the front and going through the grind with these girls. You're up at 5 a.m. and you're in the weight room or you're on the field and you're in the classroom together and you're in study hall together and you're at meals together and you're practicing 2-3 times a day and 5-6 days a week. It's just, it's a new level of friendship. And I'm still friends with a handful of my teammates from college. And those have been some of the most solid ride or dies in my life. But yeah, just making memories and laughing with my teammates and just getting that experience, I think, is probably the best memory of it. Yeah, it's a sisterhood. Yeah. And you said it, lifelong friends. I tell kids this all the time that, especially as a senior or somebody that's graduating, and I tell every kid this when they're done. I said, "Hey, do me a favor. Like, you're gonna get a whole new dose of reality." And you're going to get to fall and you're just going to hit a wall. And I want you to make sure you get through that fall and you have to play at least one season. Because there's nothing like wearing your college uniform or your college travel attire and walking through an airport with your sisters and being like, because everybody knows you, like the city knows you, the kids that,
that may play a sport will look up to you. And I think there's something that is special about that for kids and for players. So I always tell kids that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that.
Any final thoughts that you'd like to say to the players or coaches out there, or tell people how to find you and how to utilize or get in touch with you to get some training?
Yeah, great. So my first advice is just keep working hard, don't give up. Don't compare yourself to people online. Don't compare yourself to your teammates. Stay in your lane and keep your head down. Keep working hard, because if you keep working hard, you will see the results that you want, and you can look back and not have any regrets or feel that you didn't do enough or you didn't put in that extra work. Just keep grinding through it. And then so I have an Instagram page. It's called Grind Time Softball. Tons of drills on there for those that don't live in the area. Reach out. I respond most of the time to a lot of my inboxes. Please reach out. Grind Time Softball, Instagram. That's pretty much the only thing I have social media wise for my business. But feel free to reach out to me also at Diva Mesa. Come say hi. I'm around tournaments all the time. I'm all around Phoenix traveling. So if you guys see me, come say hi, and I'd love to connect.
Cool. Grind Time Softball. On Instagram, keeping it simple with just one platform. You're probably smarter than a lot of us. Coach Kiley, I really appreciate you jumping on. I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. I just want to say thanks for listening. We will continue working to elevate the sport and get caught up with those who are influential in the fast pitch community. And hopefully we can help you navigate your softball journey. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Caught Up with Randy Kaye, or at Coach KAZ on YouTube. You can also listen to us on Spotify, Caught Up with Randy Kaye. And finally, you can follow us on X and on Instagram using the handles at Coach KAZ. Thanks again for watching or listening. Until next time, appreciate you.
Thank you.